Secret Service said they have dissuaded him from coming to Capitol Hill. They told him they don't have the resources to protect him here. So at the moment he is not coming, but that could change.
Oh, he comes, I'm gonna punch him out. This is
Oh,
my
no,
moment.
I would pay to see
I've
that.
been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm gonna punch him out and I'm gonna go to jail and I'm gonna be happy.
Yes, I think that's the most aggressive I've ever seen Nancy Pelosi. That was, of course, as the buildings were being stormed, as Nancy Pelosi and a lot of other people in Congress were probably at least somewhat worried about the possibility that they might be ripped limb from limb by an insane fascist mob. And acknowledging that she is being filmed, and she knows that, and she does, she thinks about how things look. She loves her little moments and stuff like that. That said, hearing her talk about punching him in the face is not usually the way we hear Nancy Pelosi talk, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, I loved how she turned to the camera after that and said, and I will go to jail. Acknowledging, I know I'm being filmed and I know it's illegal. If there was no camera here, I wouldn't necessarily admit to the jail part. I wish she seemed more intimidated during it. Like that footage is stark and pretty strange, but also I don't know that it really helps the case. I don't feel like she and Chuck Schumer seemed, that's hard to say fast, seemed particularly scared for their lives. They seemed more like they were on the phone trying to, figure out what they can do to stop the thing. And also, I don't know plausibly how it would have worked. They were afraid to go out of their offices, but if Trump showed up, Nancy would have stormed through the Viking and the people smearing feces on the walls to get to Trump and knock him in the face. I'd love it, but it seems a little too end of a 90s romantic comedy for me to have plausibly happened in life. But I would pay to see it. I mean, that's a pay-per-view post, both of them being in public office that would make huge money for charity.
So I do want to use this as an opportunity. I understand there are some people, maybe big fans of Nancy Pelosi, they'll be like, yeah. And I, to some extent, get it. Trump is the worst. We hate what he does, and we particularly hate January 6th. But I will remind you, there's some amazing write-ups of what she actually did following January 6th. So there she's saying, I will go to jail for slugging him in the face. But what did Nancy Pelosi actually do? There were people who, as she's filming that, there are people who are already working on impeachment resolutions. We now know. I think Ryan Grimm had a write-up on The Intercept about the actual timeline there. And they wanted to expedite this. And Nancy Pelosi didn't let them. She had them go on their little break for several days. And that may not seem relevant. I mean, after all, at the end of the day, he was actually impeached. But of course, he was not convicted in the Senate. And maybe he was never going to be. But we also know that people like Mitch McConnell and those were coming out in the immediate aftermath of January 6th saying, this was Donald Trump, he has responsibility. And notably, they didn't have an opportunity to vote on convicting him then. It had to wait days and days and days and days. And during that time, the right sort of banded together. And while initially they were like, oh God, have we crossed some sort of horrible line? Is our base gonna turn against us for literally trying to kill Mike Pence and overturn democracy? It only took a few days for them to realize, no, actually the base is perfectly fine with that. The only frustration they have is that it didn't succeed. And so Nancy Pelosi can talk about punching him day of for a video that maybe she planned to put out, although admittedly it took until now for it to come out. But behind the scenes, she used her power as speaker to stop immediate consequences from rolling forward. And so I find that very frustrating.
Yeah, why? Why would she have done that? It's just, again, like you're saying, it just shows political theater. It shows that these people are, to some degree, kind of in cahoots with each other. They're playing a game. Oh, Trump's playing his game. Let's get cameras rolling down below. But when there's a chance to actually hold him to account, let's not do it immediately when they know exactly how cowardly the Republicans are. And if they have one moment of them being against Trump, if you don't capitalize on it now, of course, in a couple of days, they're gonna be changing their tune. I mean, McCarthy was already en route to Mar-a-Lago at that point to pose for a photo.
Yeah, they have said, or it's come out, that their strategy was, let's slow down on impeachment and let's just cross our fingers and hope that they use the 25th Amendment.
Come on.
That was their strategy.
Trump's own team.
It didn't happen.
Trump's own team. The only way they would have invoked the 25th Amendment would have been if the 25th Amendment comes free with every book deal. Then maybe.
Maybe. That is what they were focusing on at that point.
Okay, can't invoke the 25th Amendment. There will be no exciting spoilers to save, no surprise twists, M. Night Shyamalan style for our tell-all books. The country's crumbling, but my God, do I want to keep the real nuggets of how I was sure he was unhinged and dangerous to our country for when my book comes out, so I can tease those nuggets on Bill Maher and on Fox News and get and even all on all the liberal media and get them to be like, wow, it is true. He was crazy, and now you're on our team, even though you had an obligation to save us then. But we get book sales, we get it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.